Spring hits, everything wakes up, and suddenly your garden looks like it's got a bad case of bedhead. Bare spots and awkward tendrils. What's going to fix this? Our suggestion is a beautiful toupee. Ground covers. They make a really good rug, soft masses of floral carpeting to pull your look together, except some of them don't just fill in, they take over. And of course, we want good grooming in our gardens, not big hair that makes us remember any poor choices we may or may not have made in the 1980s. Ground covers, the ones that behave, the ones that absolutely do not, and how to tell the difference before you plant yourself into a corner. Today on the Garden Mixer.
She's Leslie Harris. I'm Marianne Wilburn, and I fully admit to big hair in the 80s. That was a thing. And you too? Were you doing that in the 80s?
Yeah. We did the Uriel Pass thing, and I still had the remnants of a permanent that I got in Dusseldorf. I don't know.
Who gets a permanent in Dusseldorf?
I mean, it was rainy, and we were sick of touring in museums. And so on the day that I got married, my mother was like, "Oh, God, I can't believe you did this. Oh, God, oh, God." Because it was still there.
Well, I had a perm when I was 17 in the 80s, and all of my bangs fell out. This entire thing fell out. It was fun. It was a laugh. I didn't do it again until last year, and then I loved it.
Oh.
Except for my well water didn't. My well water went into it, made it all rusty.
Oh, no.
And now I'm sporting the short hair. All right, why are we talking about hair? This is a garden podcast, Leslie, and we're supposed to be talking about ground covers.
Because it makes a good toupee. That's why. That was my analogy. I thought you would like it.
It is very cool. Well, I am in California. You are in Virginia. I'm not going to be here for too long. I am at my parents' garden, and we are in the final stages of putting it to bed for another family to come and homestead where my parents have been for 47 years, family home and my anchor in California. And it's been a really interesting experience, Les. I know you've already gone through this. I know this is a rite of passage, right?
It's not easy.
It's not an easy thing, but one of the things that it has done, besides there's lots of smiles and there's lots of sadness, but one of the things that it has done is made me itch to get home and attack my own clutter and the things that I keep thinking I need several of, because my mother is moving into an independent living cottage, which is smaller. It's still very nice, but it's smaller. And she still thinks she needs 7 cheesecake pans. Not sure how that's going to happen. But then I go back and I think, what are my cheesecake pans in my garden, my greenhouse, in my potting shed? Do I really need 3 or 4 pairs of secateurs? Do I really need 3 or 4 pairs of loppers? These type of things that you just sort of, I don't have 3 pairs of gorgeous loppers. I have like 1 really good pair and then 2 sort of dodgy pairs. So it's a question of maybe it's time to get rid of the dodgy pairs and just clean up. And you certainly did this when you moved your house. And
moving makes it happen. The longest place we lived as a married couple was 23 years, but twice in the middle of that, we rented our house out when we were in Australia. So we basically moved, even though we came to the same place. It really helps to like make you look at things. So speaking of looking at things, let's look at cocktails. What you got?
Yes, well, I have my father's favorite beer, Boddington's. This is in honor of my dad here, who died 7 years ago, and he would have been thrilled with this. This has sat around for a while. It's nice and cold right now, but he also would have been proud of that too, because he was a frugal man.
A frugal man.
But it's very nice. How about you? What are you drinking? Something special?
Yeah, I am. This is a frozen piece of mint. So we'll remove it. This is a mojito, which I chose for 5 different reasons. One is to vindicate our friend Erin Shannon. Cheers, Erin.
Cheers, Erin. How does it vindicate her?
Because I feel like you were saying that a mojito has this, and she was saying, "No, it doesn't," and you guys were having.
Well, to be fair, she said it had tequila in it, and I'm like, the only person who would put tequila in a mojito would be you.
That's true, and I do have white
Um,
rum in this one, which is what the recipe called for
okay.
in our book. The other reasons are that this has muddled mint in it, and we are doing a One More Sip episode. Listeners, if you don't know what One More Sip is, you can find it on Substack. It's our in-between episode that you can find on Substack, The Garden Mixer. Mint is also something that could be a ground cover, which we're discussing today, but you wouldn't want it to be. Mint, muddled mint, can also get stuck in people's teeth. And so I thought that might be an added, you know, point of interest on YouTube, perhaps. But mostly it's because we have become Substack bestsellers, which Marianne assures me is a very good thing. And cheers to you Substack people for helping us to get there.
Cheers to all of you mixers out there. You are believing in us, and we believe in you guys too. And we say it every time, but it really is truly an honor to be helping you garden, to be out there with you, being a companion, even if you're doing your ironing, Paul Westervelt. We are happy to be there with you doing it. So thank you, and thank you to those mixers who knocked us over into bestseller status.
And well done for you for building a good Substack thing. I'm trying to build the YouTube thing, and we do have 3,000 subscribers now. So things are happening with the Garden Mix.
Okay, enough of these drinks, enough of this frippery.
What about Clear Up Corner?
Yeah, we need to get into to clear up corner. So, shall we begin with a deep and heartfelt apology from me, where I throw myself on the court's mercy because I was listening to the podcast and I was actually, here's the confession, I was getting sick.
Not when you were listening, when you were
No,
recording. Right.
no, when I was
Yeah.
recording, and, my voice was deep and husky and sexy, of course. My train of thought was, "Let's just get through this clear up corner," and I hit that like a railroad train going through a desert town,
That's okay. We hung on. We
and
hung on.
you hung on with me. Erin needs a medal for just sitting in there,
She was looking up mojito recipes, if you recall.
and I'm just going, "And another thing, and another thing." So my profound apologies. We're going to do this with grace and dignity, and that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, good. It's my turn. I wanted to follow up on cowslip, which was your damn I wish I planted that plant last
Oh,
week. And so that is cowslip. Cowslip.
primula.
It's a primula. It's a primula veris. And that is, and so we were wondering, well, what an adorable, common name, and what's that all about? And all Mobot had to say about that was, it may come from the Old English meaning cow dung. I'm hoping not, and probable reference to the plant thriving in cow pastures. Cowslip also may simply be a reference to the moist, slippery habitat where the plant often grows. So nothing really gained there, but at least we sort of looked into it.
Well, hey, and you went to Missouri Botanical instead of Chat, so
No, I wasn't going to chat for that. Chat does other things for me, not that.
I don't need to know what Chat does for you. Thank you very much.
Jesus.
All right, number 3, a criminal act was committed, and it was committed by Leslie Harris in the Spring Ephemerals episode. Now, this is one of our One More Sip episodes that we have in between that you can become a mixer on Substack for. Um, the criminal act was that we had our favorite ephemerals to discuss, and one of the best ephemerals was not discussed. Podophyllum peltatum, which is our native May apple, which Leslie had asterisked,
I made a
she
mark
put an
next to
asterisk
it.
by
I
it.
made a mark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that she was gonna do it, and
Mhm.
then she bait and switched me because I was gonna do it, and then it just disappeared, and instead we're talking about that weedy corydalus, solida slash possibly incisa slash, cancellation of the garden mixer slash. So can I just say, for those of you who were in that episode saying, "Where is the Mayapple?" I agree. Leslie needs to apologize. Uh, the Mayapple is a fantastic plant. It zones 3 to 8, huge colonies, like little umbrellas about what is that?
Oh, 12
What would you
inches,
say, 12
14,
inches?
14 maybe,
Yeah.
with the cute little flower hanging down. Oh, it's so
It
cute.
just dies back, and it has that little
Dang.
flower, little apple. You can actually make jam out of the apple if you feel like it. I know you have a lot of spare time on your hand, but the rest of the plant is poisonous. And the last thing about that is there are a lot of podophyllums out there, a lot of Chinese ones that are really cool. Do you grow any of those?
Yeah, I just got me a spotty dotty, and I just saw today, because I've been away, that it is coming back. I'm very excited.
That is exciting because that is one expensive plant.
It's come down a lot in price because I was not having it when it was I mean, it was close to $100, and I found
I
something
am
for
not having
I'm
that.
not having it. I'm having a lot of things that cost $100, not that. But I think I found it
But
for 20 or something that made me happy.
right, and that's not an ephemeral. That's right through the summer for you, right?
Well, we'll see, but I think so. I bought it in the fall.
And I grow Podophyllum pleanthemum, which is a very shiny, very large with a red hanging, um,
Dingy
this
dong.
dingy dong, and is extremely susceptible to frost. And so this is actually a growing thing. I don't want to get too far off track here, but when you've got something that's susceptible to frost and is in and sort of like shade, the worst place you can put it is somewhere where it's gonna get winter sun because
Oh.
the soil is going to get winter sun and warm that soil up early, and that's exactly where my podophyllum is. So it comes up earlier than it should if it was planted somewhere smart,
Mhm.
and then it gets knocked back to the ground, and it unlike like regersea, it is not happy about that and takes forever to get one more stinking leaf up, so I really do need to move it. But last on this whole Mayapple act, of criminality, the names that we have, the common names that we have that were on NC State, extension for this are so cool
Okay.
and so varied. You wanna hear
Yeah,
them?
better than cowslip, it sounds like. Let's go. Let's hear it.
Yeah. American mandrake, devil's apple, which could be a euphemism for something else, duck's foot, hog apple, Indian apple root, mandrake, mayapple, raccoon berry, that's the best
Oh my
one,
god.
umbrella leaf, which I would think of as sinalesis, and wild lemon. So many different names, which all go back to learn the botanical name because look at all of those crazy names.
All right, so ground covers, the toupee that you're looking for if you have any bald spots. I mean, I thought that was a pretty good analogy.
I don't know how I've never heard that before because it's pretty
It's
good.
pretty good. And I thought of that, not chat. So let's just get that straight. So, a quick
Right.
caveat about invasiveness. We broadcast nationally, internationally, so make sure that you know what you're growing. Things may be
Mhm.
different. And we're talking about non native invasives, alien invasives, or we're talking about things that you might just not want in your garden.
Aggressive.
Aggressive, yeah,
Yeah.
even if they're
Yeah.
native to the area. And so these are plants that hang out, unlike spring ephemerals that we've talked about recently, these are things that hang out beautifully all season long, and a lot of them flower, and a lot of them flower in spring. And we're not gonna make this sound like, damn, I wish we're not gonna go into huge details about every single one. We're just gonna have a convo about a bunch of them. But first, this is a book moment with Marianne.
Why, thank you, Leslie. Should I put on my book moment voice?
You need a cold for that.
I do. I don't have it anymore. I want to put you on to two books. First one took 8 years to write, and I'm still amazed that Timber Press allowed his contract to go on that long, but I am so glad that they did. And that's Gary Lewis's complete book of ground covers, which has 4,000 taxa in it. That's a lot. And this is an encyclopedia. It talks about how to use ground covers, but it's really profiling all of these different ground covers. And again, like Leslie said, it's going to have some invasives in there. It's going to have aggressive. It's going to have just sitting in place because it's a book for everyone. It's a book for all continents and gardeners. The second one, and it's well written. I think it won a gold award from the media, or not Garden with the Writers, GardenCom. The second one is Ground Cover Revolution from fellow podcaster Kathy Gents, who has the Garden DC podcast. And hers has a slightly different take She's talking about ground covers to use to replace your lawn.
Oh.
And it's here in the East, or I'm not in the East right now, but it's in the East, the Midwest. It has a very different focus, and she has 40 profiles. So if you are just wanting to get rid of your lawn, for whatever reason, and you want to go ground covers. Also, Susan Harris on Garden Rant has a wonderful post. If you just go on to Garden Rant, I'll put all of these links into the show notes. She really experimented with that and experimented very successfully and goes through it in depth. So there's some good recommendations for you. This has been a book moment with Marianne Wilburn.
Thank you, Marianne. Ground covers are great because they can do that thing. They can get rid of that lawn or some bits of that lawn. But they can also weave in between plants, and some of them are more aggressive than others. Some of them are perfect for that. Others, oh, let's just start with the Matuccia. Don't do that, and I've done it, which is the ostrich fern, which is a great plant, and I believe that's native to the United States, is it not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, before we get started with names of plants, we should talk about what we mean by ground covers beyond just they hang around beautifully, but that, are we talking tall, short, in between? Because in my head, when I was first gardening, ground cover meant something that was no more than a couple inches high.
Oh,
Your super dwarf Ophiopogon, or your ajuga, or your creeping jenny, which is now very hated and invasive.
yeah.
But those type of plants. But as I sort of garden more, I realized that it's more about literally covering ground and well, and it doesn't necessarily, it means planting densely.
Yeah.
What plants are going to cover that bare soil well and not provide too much competition for things around them.
Do you grow any Pachysandra, native or otherwise?
I do. I grow both because we had one of the plants that we had here was the Pachysandra. Is it terminalis?
Maybe?
The one that you see in every 1940s, 50s subdivision,
Mhm.
and it was already here, and I needed it in a small area, and so I grow it, and it stays in that small area, and where it moves out, I take it out. But I did grow the native because I saw it grown so beautifully at Mount Cuba, and I happened to see it when it was in bloom, and it was all around the base of a tree, and I thought, "Oh, hell yes, I'm growing that," and it has just struggled. It can't even hold its head up
Yeah.
and pretend to be a Pachysandra. So, do you grow it better?
I moved into our long-term house in Connecticut, had this beautiful area of Pachysandra, which flowered every spring, and it just solved so many problems for me in this corner of the yard where I never although I gardened extensively ultimately on that property, I was never gonna garden there, and it was just "Oh, let's just take 1 half an hour, 1 time a year, and go pull a few weeds who have made their way through this mat." It's so low maintenance and good looking. Now, I wouldn't wanna have cocktails near it because I think a lot of mosquitoes live there, but, the native was so difficult for me to grow. As soon as I found it, I got some back in here in Charlottesville, back at Minor Road at my old garden, and I would just look at that thing every year and say, "Dude, what is your deal?" Like, it's
Stand up straight,
St
damn it.
stand up straight and multiply. Go forth and be
Have some
fecund.
sex.
Yes, come on. They were just you could just see the 6 little pieces that I put in, and maybe there were 7 by the time I moved away. Disappointing, disappointing, I say.
Disappointed. Yes, but I have a feeling it just doesn't have the right spot in my garden, although, it's in a shady spot. It has fairly rich earth and it's somewhat moist, so I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong, but please, comments on a postcard to comments@thegardenmixer.com. What is Marianne doing wrong besides everything? Just, with regards to the Pachysandra. So, what about epimedium? We gotta do
Love
epimedium.
that plant, and it also has that thick mat of roots, which things are not gonna wanna come up through once it gets established, and I have very little of that, but it did make the travel team. I had some colonies going strongly before I moved away. I didn't even know this plant before I started gardening in Virginia. It was too sophisticated for my Connecticut tastes, and then when I saw it, I'm like, "That is so groovy." It's got that kind of leathery looking leaf and that very ephemeral looking flower coming up. I've got a sulfury yellow one, but there's some pink ones. Are they
Mhm.
purple? Are they white? How many do you grow?
Actually, I keep meaning to count. I grow at least 10 taxa. I don't know.
Winning.
It might be a little bit more than that. I grow some of my I could do some of my favorites. Amber Queen, oh, such a beautiful flower, that orangey flower. Also, it is I have found, and I am not an expert on epimedium at all, so I'm sort of feeling my way with it, but I think that Wishensi, which is a species, they tend to have a more jagged leaf and a longer leaf and a more evergreen leaf for my climate in 6B. And so I get a lot more mileage out of them than I do out of, say, grandiflora, which just is beautiful in the fall, like gorgeous color. I grow lilac seedling, and then I think it's grandiflorum maybe, and then it's just done. It's all brown and sulfurous, is it sulfurous or is it sulfur or I see, I've
So
always get mixed up with the
I
sul
know Zippo. This is gonna be me sitting here and you rattling off names of hellebores. I got no idea.
Oh, or of, of hellebores. No, I mean that you've got PTSD from
Yeah,
hellebores,
I do. Yeah, I do. My
epimedium.
mind was melting.
Speaking of which, hellebores and epimedium go together like,
What's
you and me.
Oh, yeah, the perfect
Um
combo. It's dry shade.
So, yeah, but just like hellebores, they tolerate dry shade.
Mm,
But you give them a little bit more moisture, some richer earth, they are gonna move themselves faster.
yep.
I find with epimedium that as soon as you feel like the clump you've got can take it, dig it up, cut it, divide it, and space it out so you can get that colonization faster.
Mhm. That works for a lot of these plants. If you're just beginning on a lot of these ground covers and you want well, it's not covering a lot of ground, damn it. So just dig up that
Mhm.
clump as soon as you feel like it's hardy enough to take some, and now you will be 4, and now you will be 8 inches apart, and soon you will be a big blob. You can do that with a lot of these things. What about a
Oh, wait, one more to put out there. Patent Assassin. That I
that's a
love the
cool
name.
name.
That's why I just had to say it. I was given it by Erica Klein, who's a gardener here in uh, wherever I live, somewhere there. And I love the name so much, and boy, it does assassinate a patent because it's about almost 2 feet tall, gorgeous flowers, and there's just so many folks. So get into epimedium and get stuck in. Okay, enough.
Okay,
Moving on.
moving on. Juga, I love. It's easy, it's pretty, it's very cute in that, those little purple things that come up, just the
Moves
regular.
into your
Yeah,
lawn.
it does that. It does that. I have a new one that I'm loving, which is let me see, I wrote it down. Pink lightning.
Pink lightning.
Yes.
So I'm taking it that's pink.
It's a pink flower instead of a purple, and it has white variegation on the
Ugh.
green, and right now it's a beautiful little mound of
I okay, I don't wanna immediately go against pink again,
but we know you
but
will. Just get to it. Get it over with.
the pink foliage on a Juga when I see that 'cause there's another one I think that has a
A
wider leaf.
ruby
Maybe it's not.
something something. This is just green and white with pink, so it's very sweet briar, very preppy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm sure it's
Yeah, yeah,
gorgeous.
it is.
I'm just being a snob.
Yeah, you are.
I love chocolate chip, though. I do love
Oh,
chocolate
that's
chip,
such a good
Ajuga.
one. Describe that one.
It's a very good one. It's a very, very dark leafed Ajuga with very, very skinny, but still flat, lanceolate leaves, blue flowers, and, I have not had issues with it. But here's the thing, folks. I haven't had issues with Ajuga because I have southern blight in my soil, which anybody I've ever given a plant to just suddenly went, "What?"
You have you have what, STD? Oh my god.
"What kind of herpes you throwing around, girl?" Which is why when I give out plants, I usually wash them of the roots because you do not want that stuff to harm you. But it keeps the ajuga very much at bay, and I'm very lucky if I can get it going in a good colony. So I grow Caitlin's giant, which is truly a giant, big, wide, fat, chocolatey leaves. Looks so great, just sort of moving down towards the pond, and then the southern blight comes in,
Oh.
and it's I think it's called sclerotia? That sounds so dirty, but I think it
It's a really
is, and it is a
bad
dirty
STD.
disease. Little tiny mustard seeds, you see them in the soil, that's what they look like, little yellow mustard seeds, and they just colonize and just cut off basically the upper part of the plant from the roots, and sometimes it dies and sometimes it lives, but it's not pretty.
So is it like a Phytophthora sort of thing?
Yeah, maybe a bit like that,
Mm.
and, I had a little bit of it in Brunswick. I don't know if I infected my own soil here, but I have really tried to keep it contained. I only have it in certain areas, so I really watch my tools moving between areas in my garden.
Ugh.
But like I said, I probably should, get a copy of all of the people I've ever given a plant to and just call them up and
Like the
say,
call of shame
"So,
back when we had COVID.
the call of shame,"
By the
yeah.
way,
Oh, no, I was going, like, back into the, 1980s of, no, I never did that, but
Caitlin's giant, which I have not heard of, but I just wrote down, would cover more ground, and we're talking about ground cover, so that sounds like fun.
it's a very cool one. I got it as a Pasalon plant, and if you see it, get it because it's not this little guy.
Yeah.
It's like that. I mean, it's a beautiful rosette, and these are rosettes. Now, what about it's not chick charms. It's the parrots. Oh, come on, help me out with this.
Is it an ajuga?
Yeah,
We've come to the end of ajugas that Leslie knows, so you're on your own, girl.
dang, it's the beautifully colored chartreuse, reddish chartreuse, finch friends, parrot friends. Ah, I know all of our mixers are staying there going, "It's this, you dumbass."
Or
Like,
maybe some people are like me and just say, "You've talked about ajuga, let's move on."
all right. But those are so colorful and so beautiful and so new, and I'm really ashamed I can't remember the names of them. Fancy finch friends or something like that. Anyway,
All right, what about,
moving on.
lamium? I love lamium. I now have
Lamium.
what do I have? I have purple dragon, which is looking very good back in the bowling alley, and I also have the weed, which is what is it? I mean, lamium, I don't know what the weed
Oh,
that just come
Lamia it used to be Lamiastrum, but now it's Lamium galeobdolon, golden archangel.
Oh, so I have a little purple guy. The golden archangel
Oh.
is a good-looking plant, unfortunately, it is an alien invasive, I believe.
I don't know if it's actually invasive or it's just aggressive. I have a feeling it is on the invasive list for a couple different states.
Actually, I did look that up, and there are a couple places in Virginia and I think in the Pacific Northwest. But a lot of the country,
Mhm.
it's a
Oh, it
good-looking yellow
is.
plant.
Yeah.
It's got a really nice variegated leaf. It's a nice chunky guy that'll move in amongst your shrubs back in your woodland type of thing. So if it's
Mhm.
not trouble where you live, then it's a pretty good plant. How many I didn't ask how many different types of ajuga because I was getting bored, but so don't go back there. Um, how many different types of
Wait,
lamian?
Achuga? Can I talk about Achuga again?
No.
Up a medium. No, I really only grow a couple lamium, which would be I do grow that golden archangel. I keep it in a small area just straight in front of my front door, and it moves underneath the hosta, and it moves around the rhodia. And in the spring, it has these lovely little are they racemes? They would technically be of blossoms, these tulipped blossoms, and the bees really love it. I can't tell you which bees, but a fair amount of flying insects are all over it with this bright, bright, beautiful yellow. I grow that, and then I do grow that other lamium. Well, there's so many, so I
There's
don't
so
really know
many.
what the other one is because I got it as a Pasalon, but it's purple and it's not invasive.
Yeah. Yeah, the cultivars are very cute and very well behaved, and they cover ground
Yeah.
well, and their roots are fairly shallow, so you can easily grow them in and amongst.
Oh, yeah, it's a pull-out side of the thing because they 'cause they're rooting at all the axles
Right.
as they're just sort of going, stoloniferously over the ground.
Taking over.
How about a native? How about Zizia aurea?
Oh, I love that, and you put that on the
Yeah.
list of be careful, but I loved growing that, and I didn't think it was too exuberant in my own garden.
It is pretty exuberant, it spreads by seed. I love this plant.
Oh,
I mean, I grow it.
great.
I think it's just something you need to be aware of because it does spread pretty aggressively by seed. A beautiful yellow umbel. more of a parsley-like foliage
Mhm.
rather than a ferny, type dill-like foliage. And here's the amazing thing about Zizia is that the flowers last for 2 weeks in the vase
Yeah.
inside. It's extraordinary.
It's like a
The only
fake
thing that
plant.
they do is drop all of their, they drop pollen on your tablecloth, so don't put them on a tablecloth. Who's using tablecloths anyway?
Yeah, nobody.
Bare wood,
Yeah,
that's all you need.
yeah, that's it. Maybe they'll blend in. The, common name of that might be useful, more useful than some common names, of which there are many for some plants, but most people call this plant golden Alexander.
Yeah, it does really move around, so you know, and it is a little more deeply rooted, but I think that if you've got an area that just needs to be covered, it gets some sun, and even in the shade, it will do, it just won't bloom as heavily,
Mhm. But
and
pollinators love
so
it, love it.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
very much. Mhm.
I have the Polygonatum
Polygonatum variegatum.
Domo Arugatum, Mr. Robotum. But Polygonatum is I don't know why I say Polygonatum, but you can say Polygonatum, and therefore that
No,
will
I'm wrong, you're right, you're
yeah,
totally right.
but you can get to
Mhm.
Mr. Robotum and
Sorry, I was just playing with a spider that's just coming down from the oak trees here. I'm waiting for the ants to start dropping on me.
when I was in Florida last week, it was, time for all the little caterpillars to drop out of the live oak, so I was just carefully picking them off my husband's back or off the golf bag and putting them back in the duff so that they would live. It made me feel so good. I have no idea what they were. They were probably some horrible
You are so
invasive.
virtuous, look
I
at that
know, but
halo.
like I said, I don't know what they
Ah,
were. They were cute little green caterpillars. I'm hopeful that they were helpful to our world. I
I'm
I
sure they were.
I have no idea. I should have called Doug telling me. Um,
You should have. So, polygonatum, whichever you wanna say. You grow a lot of that. Do you consider it a ground cover? I do.
I do, and I started with 1 or 2 here in the tiny garden, and I have a good spot for it where it's a hillside and I don't really doesn't get a lot of sun, but it's gonna cover some territory, and I just today noticed that the beginnings of it, they're really cool. They're like a peony or like, what's another cool thing? Well, what we talked about, Hortensia, bluebells when they start some plants, when they start out, are just even more groovy
Oh.
than when they bloom, and I think that Polygonatum is one of those. Have you ever grown the little baby humilis one? Or humili? Humili.
Humili,
Humili.
yeah, and I had a colony that was about this big, and do you know what took it out?
Mm-mm.
Was that damned Matuccia, the
Yeah.
ostrich fern, which I just I thought, "Oh, they can live together, you know, ebony and ivory and the whole deal," and no, no, they're not going to live together. It completely ruined that dream for me while it took out the aromatallicum. And have we actually rubbished ostrich fern enough yet?
No, and here's what I'd like to do is to ask anybody who's listening to this, if you've ever had a war of the worlds with the ostrich fern and some other plant, and the other plant made it through, because I don't know if that can happen, but I'd love to know about it.
I do have one that will make it through, and it's really fun to watch, and that is Pedicites japonicus,
Okay.
which is a large leaf plant like this, extremely aggressive plant, and it is also, I believe, on some invasive lists. I say that, I don't know that. But it blocks out the sun completely. So if it can get above that ostrich fern, then it can stop it. It is really, I have a great few pictures of this because I've got it on one side of my house. These two serious great houses just boom, psh, boom, psh, and I can't really say which one is winning. They've been doing this for 10 years. Every once in a while, they both run. They both are running rhizomatously, you know, and trying to make incursions into each other's space, and then they're, you know, vanquished, and they keep coming back to this, you know, it's like it's
It's
like
Clash
Normandy.
Clash of the Titans, baby.
It really is. It's like the Somme. It's it's pretty crazy to watch. But yeah, I have lost a lot of great plants to ostrich fern, and yet, at the same time, in areas where you are trying to cover some ground, give it some lushness, give your insects cover, ostrich fern is a fantastic plant, and
Yeah.
it does feed some caterpillars. I know because mine look pretty damn ratty in the very early part of the spring, and it's all caterpillar damage. I just don't know which one it is. So it is a terrific plant. You just have to say, "Hey, that's my hillside of Matuccia.
And
Isn't it beautiful?"
that is the best place I've ever seen it grown. It was on a Garden Week tour, a fabulous garden with so many different things, but this one hillside would have been just I don't know what, but this is the
Yeah.
3rd week in April, and you're just looking up at these emerging it was just glorious, a perfect place for these things to unfurl. So, it can be a wonderful plant.
And edible, edible. Those
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, those
yeah.
things. What do you call those
Your little
things? There's a
fiddleheads, those
fiddlehead.
little fiddleheads
Yeah.
are edible when they're like this. You saute them around like little asparagus, and Lord knows I've got enough of them.
So, a little butter and, garlic, I mean, what could go wrong? Alright, what about
How about rhodia?
so, you put that on the list, and I am dubious at best, because I think of that as such a slow grower. It's
Right?
basically like a Lancelot hosta.
Lance like Queen Guinevere and
Yeah, Guinevere and
Lancelot?
what's the
Okay.
proper adjective for a lance-shaped leaf?
Lancelet.
Not Lancelot, but it has a lance-shaped leaf, and it just the way I've grown it, it's just this little, bouquet of lance-shaped leaves coming up, and eventually, by and by, it'll get bigger than a softball, and maybe we're up to grapefruit. I think I had one approaching volleyball size at the base, but ground cover? I don't know.
100%. You know what you gotta do is the same thing with epimedium. You gotta be ruthless with this guy. When it starts to get a little bit bigger, you dig it up, you get a very sharp knife, and you start making divisions and then put them out. And again, don't just think it's gonna make its best moves in dry shade. It will colonize dry shade over time, but it also wouldn't mind a little bit of moisture and, rich soils. But I have seen it used so well under trees, and I know that it's been managed very, very well. And then when it has that little spadix with all of the fruit on it in the fall, the red
Yeah,
berries, and it's
yeah,
not in
it's
the
pretty
fall,
cool.
actually, I think it's late summer. It's pretty cool, and there's so many beautiful variegated ones, which I will link to I won't link to, I'll put the photos on
So, but I
Substack,
have a
and you will
question.
eat your words,
Okay,
Harris.
sounds good. Looking forward.
That didn't sound like you do. You are actually, I don't think you are.
But I have a question about cultivation there. So again, we're talking about the rhodea, and if you're not familiar with that,
Yeah.
does it even have a common name?
Yes, sacred lily.
Sacred lily, okay.
Sacred lily. Mhm.
Um,
Because it's sacred.
because it's sacred, it's from Asia, it's evergreen, and
Mhm.
therefore, when do you make the decision to split it because you're gonna crumple some leaves, and when do you get rid of the old and I never understood how to make it look good. It's not like you can, "Oh, cut it back to the ground and everything new will look good." You're getting rid of a lot if you do that. What do you do?
No,
What do you do?
I take out some of the old leaves. It's almost like celery, you know how you're taking all those old stalks off of the sides. You've got all that new growth in the middle, and so I'm just taking off what looks ratty,
Okay.
and it really does make it well through a zone 6 winter, without looking too ratty. The thing that I have a problem with rhodia, particularly with some of the variegated cultivars, is rust,
Mm.
little spots of rust. And 2 things can you do? 2 things can you do. One is you can spray it with fungicide and spray it, like, every 10 days, or which a hint that was given to me, a tip and a trick that was given to me by Pam Harper, the wonderful garden writer who passed away a few years ago, is to grow it in more shade because the more sun it gets, the more it seems to suffer from that rust.
Oh, okay.
So, if you're dealing with those variegated cultivars, try them in, take off the bits that have got rust on them and put them into a little bit more shade. And you may be very happy. She grew some damn fine rhodia, and she wasn't spraying when I was there last. I think it's a good one to try, and I think that it's one that is just sort of overlooked. Collectors get the variegated and people just overlook that deep green, but we're talking about something that's that tall that can go around an oak tree, the base of an oak tree where you're having problems with other things growing, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, it can help. Carrots. What do you grow there?
Carex, yes. Lots of different ones. Carex pennsylvanica,
Mhm.
Carex which I can never say. Say it for me.
I believe it's Morrow, like borrow, but then there are 2 I's at the end, so Morrowii, probably?
Moroi. Moro, yes. Ice dancer, ice dance,
Mhm.
one of those 2. Love that plant because it is a dense cover of ground, and
Mm.
it's strong, and it's beautiful through most of my winter until I finally have to cut it down in March to the ground and let it spring up again. It can be aggressive. There's so many native species of Carex, and actually, Mount Cuba did a fantastic study on Carex. So go to Mount Cuba, again, show notes on Substack, and they have a wonderful study on which ones did best. And Carex marwarii would not be in there because I think it's an Asian
Yeah, I
species.
think so too. The Pennsylvanica, what's the blue? What's the bluish kind of one? Ooh, I grew that at my house and it was aggressive, but it was great. It has a blue tint to it. I'm gonna look that up for you. I grew both Carrick's Ice Dance and Carrick's Everest, and I cannot tell
Oh,
you which one is which. They just are both variegated white and green. They're both
mhm.
strong, and I grow them as individual species, one in a container, and it just looks fabulous just flopping out over the edge. I love that plant.
Feather Falls, that's the $1,000,000 plant that you need one. If you do not have one, get a Feather Falls,
Why?
put it in a pot because it's just the most graceful, beautiful carex that hardly needs any help at all and has, like, little tendrils that are sort of falling down. It's not, straight up and down. It's not straight out like a bushy haircut. It's just more graceful with a terrific habit, hardly needs any care. I have put it in a pot where I just needed something in that pot. I needed a one and done, and you're probably not going to get a lot of water from me. So you better sort yourself out. And it took that all on with bells on. So Feather
The
Falls.
same the same thing I would say for either Ice Dance and
No,
Everest.
Feather Falls is better.
Okay, fine. Oh my god, she's so aggressive.
I'm invasive. It's different. I'm on a list. I probably am on a list,
Yeah, I think
actually.
you are. I think you're on several lists. I saw a beautiful planting of, comfrey, which is she's amused herself greatly here. Symphytum officinale.
Ooh, do we talk about this
Oh,
one?
I love it's
Yeah.
a great so I was at the Birmingham my sister was like, "You're home so soon." And I said, "Well, I was just in Birmingham." She goes, "Oh, I thought you were in Birmingham, England." I was in Alabama.
Alabama, baby.
They have a really good botanical garden there, and I saw the most beautiful mass planting of comfrey, and that is a good-looking plant. It can get a little crispy in summer,
It is.
probably especially in Birmingham, but this was in deep shade, and it looked
Mhm.
beautiful emerging
Yeah.
in spring. So, I'm a fan.
And, you can it is a incredible sink of nitrogen, and so
Oh,
it
yeah.
gives you such it keeps coming back no matter how many times you cut it down, it keeps coming back, and you can keep throwing that into a big thing of compost tea. And if you have a rain barrel, you can just throw it in the rain barrel and let it steep around, and then you're fertilizing your plants with it.
Yeah.
I originally saw that plant, at Mount Vernon under the apple trees
Oh.
as natural mulch. They would just cut it down and they would do that green mulch thing that it would allow nutrients to go into the soil.
Mhm.
Now, I was a much younger gardener and I was like, I'm doing that. And so I did it, and I've loved doing it ever since. I have it. But I can't help but wonder, wait a minute, it's gotta be stealing a lot of nitrogen out of the soil in order to be
Yeah.
adding nitrogen to, so maybe it's not so great under an apple tree, but I'll look into that. I need to look into that at some point. My poor apple tree is like, "Yeah, you're finally getting the getting the clue, huh? I'm starving here."
Here's another example of Marianne and Leslie not being scientists.
It's true,
We're
yeah.
just gardeners, but I do love comfrey. It just has that great smell, and if it looks a little crispy, you just cut back a few leaves, put them on your compost pile, whatever.
Can I
Yes, you can, because you will,
Can I do just a
and I
little caveat? I have
cannot
to.
stop you. Proceed.
No, you can't
Mhm.
because I just want gardeners who haven't grown this before. If you're growing it, grow it somewhere where it is sort of on its own. at first. You put this guy in your beds, you will never get it out because even the tiniest little bit of root is a new plant. And that's all well and good, if you have a big area to fill, but if you have something like a geum or some forget-me-nots, well, those are going everywhere too, but I'm thinking of a bed in particular at my house, if you can't tell. And you just keep having these huge fat leaves coming and smothering. And the minute you take your eyes off of them, oh, there they are again. So if you are going to try comfrey, we will give you Leslie will give you her full blessing. I give you a partial blessing with caveat.
I see what you're saying because it has smothered a few plants if I didn't keep my
And
eye
there's
on it.
always borage, same family.
Borage, same family, and it is as good a ground. It doesn't cover as much territory, though, does it, borage?
No, and it flops, and it's not as great.
Mhm.
You're right.
All right.
This is not a grow this, not that plant.
What about heuchera? Tell me about heuchera.
Heuchera. Okay, so the one that I have the most success with, which is probably the same as you, is Autumn Bride,
Love that
which I
plant.
think is Heuchera villosa. Is
Villosa.
that right?
Mhm.
That is a beautiful plant. I also love, is it Purple Prince?
There are so many purple and orangey ones, and the variegation of some of them is, when you go to look for heucheras, um,
No, they will melt out.
yeah, they're temporary plants, except for Autumn Bride, the villosa. It is a multiplier, and it is a ground cover, and you might have to edit it, but in the most charming way where you're just like, "Oh, you're just getting a little unruly. Come with me over here." The Autumn Bride is the only one for me that has ever said, "Oh, I'm going to just cover this whole spot for you and look so charming doing it." I don't see the other
Mhm.
ones really. You have to plant each one, right?
I think it's purple primo or primo purple, and that really that's a very large leaf, and it does well when it's happy, it does beautifully, and looks so gorgeous with some of the, hellebores that are still coming in as
Mm.
it's starting to emerge and the hellebores are still in flower, it's pretty cool. The one of all of the colorful ones that all melt out.
Yes.
The one that has done the best for me is Carmen. Is it Carmen or Carmelo? Or Carmel? Carmel. I'll get it
The
in the
sticky
end.
the sticky candy that you put in your teeth. Yeah.
That's right, and it is a beautiful orange, and it does well season to season for
Like
me. But
caramel?
a lot of the others
Caramel?
caramel,
Okay.
caramel. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, not like the opera. Not Carmen. And it does really well for me season to season, but I've had so many heuchera fails. Let's move on. Let's move on from heuchera and move on to Geranium macrorrhizum because I love
Ooh.
that plant.
Also saw a
Easy.
fabulous mass planting of that just at that Birmingham Botanical Garden, took a picture. It was just so just beautiful coming up out of leaves. How much do you grow?
Yeah.
Tons?
A fair amount, because it's so easy and I can take my eye off it and the deer didn't eat it. Even when it's not in blossom, which I actually don't love the bloom because it's sort of a magenta pink.
Yes.
Um, when it's not in bloom, it's a beautiful ground cover and very strong. You can rip it out and it can sit on the ground. These large roots that are very, very, hard almost, and it'll just sit on the ground while you forgot about it for 2 days, and then you come by and go, "Oh, I should put that somewhere." And then where's a difficult part of this
Oh, shit.
garden? And then you put it there and it's good. So, yeah, I love that plant. Plus it smells terrific.
Hi, it's just me right now, and let me just remind you that I love Marianne, but I did this podcast on my own for like 3 years before she ever showed up. I'm just gonna have to finish up this one on my own because something happened out in California that makes it so that she's no longer with us. Um, so we were almost done with ground covers. I want to mention 3 ones that you really don't want to fool with, and they are, I don't know if they're native or non-native. You would just be so sorry if you planted them. One of them is Hutinia cordata. They call it chameleon plant, and I saw it once at a client's garden. I'm like, "Oh, that is such a cool plant. It has red and green and white, and it's very, very cool." Luckily, I knew what I was dealing with. I planted it within concrete walls, and it did very well there. I mean, Liz Baker, are you listening? It's just such a horrible, horrible plant. So don't do that one. Both Marianne and I would just give you a word of caution about convallaria, lily of the valley. Where I am here in Virginia, I had trouble getting it started. Not only my property, but a couple of different clients. Once you do get it started, it can go a little crazy and it's not all that easy to dig out. But wow, what a cool plant. And just making a big bouquet of that stuff in May and giving it to somebody or putting it by your bedside. Oh, I love lily of the valley. Caution, however, caution. The other one is agapodium. So that's the bishop's weed and adorable. I like the variegated part as well. Somebody gave me a plant that had some in it, and I'm just pulling out little pieces of it all the time. It's a deep root. It breaks easily. Don't get it started unless it's in a container or like I grew it in my old garden. It was between a sidewalk and a house. So make sure that you're really careful with the bishop's weed. And the last one is a funky one. It's called Arum metallicum. It is such a cool looking plant. It's like a variegated kind of strung out hosta that looks fabulous in the middle of winter. So, not a bad thing to have, except that if you were to change your mind, because I think it might be listed as emerging invasive, it can get a little over exuberant in your own yard. If you were to change your mind, it's almost impossible to dig out. I've tried it on clients' yards. I've tried it in mine. It just wants to stay there. So if you know you have a good spot for it, go for it. If you don't, caution. All right, so those are our ground covers. Those are our toupees that you can spread around your garden. And I miss Marianne a little bit, but this is kind of fun. All right, some housekeeping. We got a lot of comments, and you're probably not surprised about the native plant nonsense episode. Most of them were just so mainstream, just so normal, just so, oh, come on, let's not get our panties in a wad about native versus non-native. Grow a bunch of natives, grow a bunch of plants, don't grow alien invasives, and just, be aware. But most people are sad that there are a few people out there, just a few bad apples who take it very, very seriously. We don't have to listen to them. If Marianne were here, she would be like, yes, they're the problem. They are a problem, but I think it's an easy problem to fix. Just don't pay any attention to them. One of the most interesting follow-ups that we had, that Marianne had from that episode, and I got to read this. She wrote it out for me. Heads of botanical gardens that we cannot mention, not the people, not the gardens, privately contacted Marianne to thank her for describing the extremism that they regularly deal with, but they don't feel comfortable publicly commenting on that extremism. It's too bad that a few people are making them uncomfortable, but I know from the comments that we got on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Substack, that most people feel pretty normal about it. Like Doug Tallamy has some great ideas. Native plants are wonderful, and do the best that you can for diversity in your garden. I can't resist. I got to tell you a couple of the funny ones that made it that just, and I answered these by saying, oh, thank you so much for illustrating exactly what we were saying, because those people that were the few bad apples, they said things like, oh, one person said, gardening is a social justice issue. Who knew? Gardening is political. Actually, somebody went and said that Marianne was trying to make gardens great again, which is fascinating because I know Marianne pretty well. We talk a lot. I have no idea where she stands politically, so I'm not quite sure how this person thought they did. Another person made it seem like planting non-native plants is like committing an atrocity, but I'm not sure because the clarity of his or her message was wanting, but I got the tone and it wasn't a happy one. And then this was a great one. Plant invasive species indoor and in pots. Keep non-natural, not non-native, non-natural plants out of the ground. I thought that was fascinating. But I want to read one that I think most people, this is what most gardeners believe. I just listened to your episode this afternoon and have seen, heard, or read native zealots that have come into the gardening world on various forums that I belong to. I think it's sad that new or old gardeners are being persuaded one way or another. I've read Doug Tallamy's books and seen his videos and agree with a lot of what he's saying, and I try to do a lot of what he suggests. But as a gardener who enjoys a wide variety of plants in my gardens, I'm just not sticking to strictly native. I love rare and unusual plants. After all, they're native somewhere. I also live with a husband who loves his lawn. So, picking my battles, and that's Rhonda Millette on Substack. And I think that's like a typical reaction to what we were talking about. We shouldn't let the bad apples ruin our gardening. Also, at this stage, we're going to talk about what wonderful things are happening in Marianne's garden with her deer fence. Well, two problems with that. She's been disconnected and she's not in Virginia, but I bet everything looks groovy. In terms of my front lawn update, something tiny happened. I finished, it's not gardening related, I finished the proposal and got it into the committee. That's all I got. In a few minutes, we're going to do Damn, I Wish I Planted That, but I'm not quite sure what Marianne is going to say, Damn, I Wish I Planted. So I'm just going to do mine. This is for mid-April, and this is the part of the show where we talk about a plant that you really love. I can see from the notes that Marianne would have been talking about Phlox divaricata Blue Moon. It's a woodland phlox in zones 3 through... Oh, what's happening here? We have a caller. Hello? This is
Hello.
the garden mixer.
Yes, I'm calling from an undisclosed location where there's really crap internet, and
Oh,
I'm wondering if I could be on your show.
well, we don't usually take callers. Are you particularly nice?
I'm knowledgeable.
Sometimes too knowledgeable. All right, I was about to do your damn I wish, and I was about to do it poorly. Phlox divaricata Blue Moon. Give us some details.
Oh, I love this plant so much. Flags of Aricata, beautiful spring purple haze that is strong. The cultivar is important on this one. Blue Moon is the cultivar to get, and it also seeds itself around. And it gets a little lighter as it seeds itself around, but it's not bad. It's not bad.
Bunnies love it, do they not? I can grow it. Bunnies
Oh,
love it.
yeah, bunnies do love it.
Mm.
So am I out now? So I have to get off the show now because I don't
No,
want to be
no.
eaten.
It's a very good plant. And the only other thing I have to add on Phlox divaricata is that I was once in a nursery where I overheard somebody asking the employee where they keep the Phlox diverticulitis, which made me laugh.
I saw it in the woodland along the creek bed as you come up to my property, and it was just growing here, there, and everywhere at a certain time of year, and I sort of fell in love with it, and researched what the heck it was, and then went from there. And then a friend was buying flats of it. I think I almost feel like from North Creek Nursery or something. So I got a big old flat of it, and of course there's like a liner of 72, and I think about, 10 survived.
Those little plants are hard
As
to
a
keep
kid.
track of. Yeah, it's
They are, but it has really spread through the garden, and it's a great underlayment at this time, and it's just bright blue, just blue purple. So it's a terrific plant, good native plant, and then it goes back to almost nothing. It's almost ephemeral. I find that my hardest problem with it is not accidentally weeding it out
yeah,
because it resembles a lot of things and it comes out of the ground really easily.
yeah. I love that plant. It's a good one. Well, Miss Wilburn from wherever you're from, thank you very much for sharing your damn I wish I planted that. I'm going to do mine now. Would you like to hold the line and listen, or are you out?
I don't think I have much choice at this point, but I would I'm just so thankful that you had me back on the show, Mrs. Harris.
We're trying to be welcoming here. So my pick for this time of year is the fringe tree, the Geonanthus virginicus. This is a native tree, a small native tree, can get a little fat. It only gets to about 12 to 20 feet tall, and it grows in zones 3 through 9. It has, right after those really cool pinwheels of a dogwood, the flowers of a dogwood, which are actually, we all know they're not flowers, they're bracts, but hey, they look like flowers. So those flat pinwheel things, and they're gone, and you're like, oh yeah. Well, here comes the fringe tree, and it's got these little, I don't know, tiny cheerleader pom-poms hanging off of it, which is a great contrast to the pinwheels of the dogwood. So great, two great native trees grown together.
That tastes great together.
That taste great together. And I knew that you would appreciate a cheerleader description of any plant because I bet you were one in high
Because I
school, weren't you?
loved to oh, yeah. A big cheerleader, not thank you.
Neither was I. I didn't even understand. Like, those were the best athletes. Come play on the team. Don't do that jumping
Oh,
around.
yeah.
Yeah,
They were pretty impressive, I have to
I
say.
know. The fringe tree can take some shade, but I am going to put it in my front yard when I finally get a garden, and, it's gonna be I don't know, they're kind of fat, so I might do 1, I might do 2. It can take full-on sun. Oh, by the way, these are dioecious plants, and so you do have to have a male around if you want the berries, but not the flowers, it's gonna flower anyway. It does have these I don't know. Do you grow this plant, Marianne?
No, I don't. I every single year, I think I've got to put some in on my driveway area, and every single year something comes up and I don't have a chance to dig a hole. And also the deer rubbing against it, having to put them into cages, that whole thing, and it just sort of took the edge off. So I don't think this is going to be the year with all that's going on this spring.
Yeah.
But I think that next year, or I'm sorry, next fall
Yeah.
will actually be the year because it is a beautiful tree. I have seen it in so many gardens. It's a gorgeous native. Now it has a fragrance, right?
Yes, it has a fragrance, you have to pretty much stick your nose right in it. I did grow a tiny one back in my old garden, and I can't wait to get these new ones. It would be great for you to get 1 or 2, to get some of them in fall because it has a really good golden yellow color for fall, and it has long leaves, like 8-inch leaves, so it makes kind of a statement in fall too. Um
I had a friend who told me to try and tell the difference between chimonanthus and cheonanthus
Mm.
was to remember it smells so good because that's winter sweet. And
Oh,
I'm like, yeah, but I think that cheonanthus smells good too. So that doesn't help.
doesn't help us at all. The berries, which are they're kinda like they look like little olives, the birds love them, so that's what you would get if you had a male around. I read that you could pickle them, but that's more of a because you can thing than because you should thing. That's not something
Yeah,
I would do.
that's a 32-year-old thing, I think. That
Little
is
pickle
definitely my
these.
32-year-old self. Yeah.
And it is not deer resistant because what is really, but it's not the first thing they would go for if you don't have heavy deer pressure like Marianne does or did. Oh, I kinda skipped over the deer, like, what's growing in your garden because 'cause you're not even there, but, have there been any photographs of any new things that were so sad before you had a deer fence that you're loving now in the last week or so?
Everything is growing in my garden, Leslie, everything. I'm just growing you know what's happening with the deer funds thing right now? I am feeling intense guilt for poor Erin Shannon, who
Oh.
and it's just, and it's Erin and a whole lot of other people, who are listening to me talk about my deer fence and want to shoot me between the eyes. So that's what's going on with the deer fence right now is that I'm actually suffering guilt. I told you I can feel guilt like a lot of people
Yeah.
that I'm actually so happy that it makes me sad for other people who don't have a deer fence.
You are a very complex person that I am glad that I am not. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. With or without you, you're sort of here, you're sort of not. I'm glad you called. And
Thank you. We're doing what we can to keep the mix alive. And
exactly.
across this gorgeous country, we can still make it happen. So there you go. We are innovative.
We
And
certainly
I
are.
want to know. I will be watching to see what you said about me when I
Oh
wasn't
my
there.
god, I had
So
so much fun. I had so much fun without you. All right, Mixers, we'll see you next time.
bye.